Roee, thank you so much for being on the show. As I mentioned, I've known Jacko and the Winning by Design team for a long time. I'm a big fan of what y'all have been doing, so really appreciate you being on the show.
Happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Why don't you take a quick second to introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about your background and how did you get into now being part of one of the most exciting and prominent revenue consultants uh, in the world, I'd say, right?
Oh. Thanks for that. I'm not sure, but thank you. Um, yeah, so my name is Roee Hartuv. I started my career in sales, just as a lot of our listeners started to climb my way up. And I was always drawn to the processes, to the metrics, to understanding how everything needs to be improved over time. Um, yeah, and basically at some point, the last company that I worked for, we ran out of money, and I was looking during Corona time, am I going back and starting all over? But then I started doing consulting. I did with one company, but very soon I saw an opening to join Winning by Design as the revenue architecture. I've tried to implement revenue architecture in two of the companies that I work for as a sales leader, and then easy decision. So I jumped on board, and doing it ever since.
Awesome. Well, let's unpack that. What is a revenue architect?
A revenue architect is a person that knows how to architect, to build, and design an efficient go-to-market team. And go-to-market includes marketing, sales, SDRs, customer success, all our client-facing, our commercial teams, as it says. Now, the point here is designing a go-to-market team, go-to-market processes in an efficient way. And when we're talking about looking at an efficient or sustainable growth, that's also something that we talk about. Efficient, sustainable growth means that we need to constantly look at data and make our decision based on data and what's based on scientific principles. So revenue architecture includes, besides people that master um, this world, includes different frameworks and models that we created. Now, these models are based on recurring revenue businesses and basically allows us to use proven frameworks in order to build that efficiency and that go-to-market process team design.
And you mentioned the go-to-market function and kind of the different pieces. How much of that is alignment across multiple sort of aspects? So, for example, we have our systems. I think that was one of the things that I remember 20 years ago or so looking at CRMs and saying, well, these things are interesting, but they're just kind of these siloed workflows, right? And they didn't seem to be talking to each other, the various clouds that started to pop up, these sort of things. And so that was one thing. It still seemed like it wasn't natural. And then now I think that we've seen this whole go to market strategy, and that didn't exist back then. It was like, oh, sales, marketing, and then there was like customer support. And then now it's sort of like the last, I don't know, let's just call it 15 years or so, the customer success kind of category has kind of very much emerged, certainly in like technology. But how much of that formula is about alignment?
Yeah, it starts with alignment, but let's follow where you started off. Um, the way we're organized, most companies are organized. We've got marketing, we've got sales. Maybe we have an SDR team. They either report to this group or the other group, and then we have customer success. We might have technical support, etc. And the way we're structured is different teams. In a lot of cases, each team doing their own thing, working on their individual processes or working on specific tools does not allow, or you lose a lot of efficiency when each team is focusing. And just I love to give this example for, yeah, there's always like sales and marketing. Hey, you're not giving us enough pipeline. Or the quality of the pipeline, and I am giving you a pipeline. You guys are not reaching out in the due time, and that's why you're losing and you're disqualifying them. All that, right? So this is how we're organized. This is how companies are built. Until recently, there was nobody that looked at the entire customer journey, right? Who looks at the entire customer journey from left to right? Now, back in business school, I was taught that marketing is responsible for that, but we know it's not really what happens. Maybe in traditional industries, marketing is responsible for the entire customer journey in retail, for example. But in our world, yeah, as soon as, like, in most cases, sales takes over and they basically manage that. We are starting to see a few signs that this is changing. First of all, instead of calling it sales ops or marketing ops, we call it rev ops or GTM ops, right? That's the first sign. But they are looking at the scope of, hey, let's support you guys with tools. Maybe let's support with capturing the data and reporting on the data. Who is responsible to design the processes, the key moments along those journeys, the handovers between those teams? So again, sometimes we do see sometimes called go-to-market strategy, VP of strategy, these people, sometimes the CEO. But and you might say it's the CRO, but again, the CRO is not really a CRO. Is just a VP of sales that usually gets promoted. They don't really manage the marketing part, and in some cases, they don't manage the customer success team. There's a chief customer office. So it's still like those siloed approach. And what we're trying as a revenue architect practice is to break down those silos, create unified methodologies, common language to break down those silos and increase the efficiency. And looking at the customer journey, the customer as he progresses or she progresses along what we call the bow tie.
Yeah. Now, I know you have a framework called SPICE there. What is SPICE and how does that relate, or how can you deploy that across that buyer's journey or that customer's journey?
Yeah. So SPICE is that interface between all the different activities, all the different methods, frameworks that we constantly use in the different departments. SPICE is an acronym. It stands for situation, pain, impact, critical events, and decision. Let's break it down. Situation is the classical situation. Pain, yeah. What is the pain that our prospect customer has? Impact, we'll dive deeper into that, I'm assuming, in just a second. But impact is basically what your customer is getting from using your product or services. Critical events is that urgency. It's impact as a function of time. When do they need, if they're a critical event that they need a solution or they need their problem to be addressed? And decision is everything around decision-making process, decision criteria, and decision maker. And so this is SPICE. Now, SPICE is not only a sales framework. Usually people think, okay, it's another sales framework. Yeah, it could be used as a sales framework, but we want all the teams to use SPICE. So for example, let's talk about marketing. Persona ICP, we need to define it based on SPICE. So we have a persona. What is the situation that we're meeting her in? What is the pain that she's trying to solve? What is the impact that our product or service can do to her organization or to her personally? That's marketing. When we're looking at sales, yeah, when you think of it, what's the situation, pain, impact? These are the questions. It's similar to SPIN. It's similar to MEDIC to a certain extent. It covers that, focuses on impact, focusing on the client, making it customer-centric and customer success, using the same framework in different activity with the client. Okay, Mr. Client or customer, when you started to work with us, you were in this situation. You had these pains. And now we promised to get you to that impact. Did we deliver on that impact? Great. Can we uncover new pains that you can solve? All right, let's understand. Do you have a critical event that we can tie into? So we expect every department to use Spice, and that creates that common language, right? Yeah, compared to other, let's say, sales framework, just pick Spin or Medic or Band.
Yeah, Bant. I kept thinking Bant. I kept thinking like Bant is not something that we can use really like across all the go-to-market functions, and
That's right.
spiced very much so.
Yeah, that's right. So when sales hands over an account to customer success, then yeah, I use Spice in order. This is all the information that they need.
Interesting. Now, in terms of how you reinforce a unified methodology, I know you also talked about de-siloing. How do we
Mhm.
start to do this in an efficient way?
So let's talk about impact. So in the middle, I stands for impact. Impact is what the client gets from us. Now, clients, our customers, sorry, care only about impact, right? We know that they don't care about our features. We all understand that, right? That, like, they like talking to us if they like us, but they're paying us money to get to that impact. Now, impact has we have two kinds of impact. There's the rational impact. This is the classical business outcome: make more money or lower costs. There's the emotional impact. The emotional impact is what the client or the specific person that you're talking to or with gets from you or gets from the project from your product. Now, the classical impact is a client getting promoted, makes him or her look good in front of the organization because she introduced this platform that saves the company millions of dollars. So that's one type of emotional impact. There are many other when you think of it, but yeah, I think this is the main one or the best one that we should strive for. So coming back to impact, if we agree, and I'm sure that we all agree that customers only care about impact, they don't care about anything else, or they care less about anything else. They will continue to renew and use the product only if they get to impact. Impact takes place in the CS world, right? So only after they onboard and they start using, there's an adoption phase. This is where impact happens. So customer success needs to take the client from that onboarding into that impact, into that recurring impact in order for us to get that recurring revenue. And then we've got sales, right? Sales need to sell on impact. SDRs need to qualify on impact. Marketing needs to message on impact. So that impact creates that common language, which is the first part of de-siloing the organization. So once we all understand that, besides addressing what the client actually wants, we become a customer-centric organization.
Mm. I can't help but think that the impact should be based on the way that you are articulating it, should be the cornerstone, right, of everything that we're doing. And to your point, we sit there and oftentimes go down these rabbit holes of features and stories, and we design them, and I don't get me wrong, I think storytelling is great, right? But at the end of the day, especially now, I think there was probably a time, at least in my career, where I could tell great stories and I could be a thought leader as I'm pitching, and back then it would be in person, for the most part. And we would maybe eventually get a deal, or maybe some people would be like, oh yeah, let's do it, that sounds like a cool technology, right? But we didn't really think about impact as much. I just don't know in today's world, for a variety of different reasons. One being that we have been maybe just pounded with SaaS tools, right? And we have this a bit of a fatigue. And And now it's like, oh, okay, that cool factor of like, okay, software at work, it's a thing, right? Like it's not a new thing. There was a time where it did feel innovative, right? And so I think, like, to your point, this idea of impact really resonates more now than ever, because I need to get a job done, and it needs to be impactful, or I may not even like entertain the concept at all.
Yeah, I think let's maybe salespeople, this impact, the ability to discuss impact or to uncover impact differentiates between the good sellers and the bad sellers. Right? The bad sellers focus on features. It's called feature selling. So they understand the situation. They go into the pain conversation. Oh, you have this pain? Fantastic. I have this feature. It can solve your pain. And hopefully I got to the right pain. We know that we need to go much deeper in order to uncover the pain. Good sellers focus on impact. All right, so you have that pain. What's going to be the impact if we solve it for you? Oh, you'll get this amount of new revenue, this amount of or cost reduction, etc. And this is what our customers want. Now, another element, we're in a recurring revenue business. And we all know that probably we're not making any profit on the first contract length, like the first year, for example, if that's our contract length. We're actually losing money. The only way that we are successful in a recurring revenue business is if we get our clients to renew, and to renew the first year, the second year, etc. That's how we become profitable as a recurring revenue organization. Now, if we do not make sure that our customers get recurring impact, we're not going to get recurring revenue. All right, so I'm connecting that now to customer success. Customer success need to make sure that our customers are getting recurring impact.
How much of the human element? Okay, so let's, for example, we're in a real life competitive sales engagement, and we know that from a functionality perspective, we're maybe apples to apples with another competitor. So obviously hypothetical. But I think that one thing, at least in my opinion, that gets lost in here is the impact that you, as the salesperson, is having on the success and impact that the prospect or future customer
Yeah.
will have, right? How much is that getting thrown out now because we're so tech centric, and we're now oftentimes behind a screen, and there's a bit of a dehumanization, I think, that has happened. How do you actually work around that, or is that irrelevant? Like, is it just you know something that if you can prove it analytically or more quantitatively, that's enough too?
Now, it depends on who you're selling to and what the ACV is. So PLG companies prove that you don't need to have a human involved in order to get to that impact, to provide impact and get the recurring revenue from your customers. They keep on renewing, right? We're talking about Zoom and Figma and Canva, all these fantastic companies working, even Atlassian, etc., working on no human involved in the sales process. You onboard yourself, you make a purchase yourself, you educate yourself, and then you use it, etc. You get to that recurring impact. However, it's different when you're selling to enterprise, big deals. I don't know, a few tens of thousands, 100,000, millions of dollars, right? These sort of organizations will not agree to buy such a expensive solution without having a human place, right? And the expectation when you're buying such a expensive solution is that you will have somebody that when you call them up on a Sunday morning and tell them, hey, my server just went down, they will hop on the first plane, even on a Sunday morning, to make sure that they fix it before, yeah, because I'm paying you so much money. So that's the level of expectation. That's true for now. Without going too much into the AI agents and how that is going to disrupt the world, let's see. I don't know. Will the way we make buying decisions or the way we buy as organization change? Meaning, will it be enough for us to talk to an AI agent to take us through most of the buying cycle and most of the service cycle, and only in extreme cases talk to a human? Probably. When, how, we'll see. Too early to say. But we're also thinking that that will come at some point as well.
I'll tell you a quick story. My wife pings me yesterday, is like, "Hey, I want a salad." I said, "Great. I know her favorite salad place." So I call and it's usually human. And by the way, this is not a massive chain or anything, right? This is a what they call like mom and pop, right? Kind of
Yeah.
shop, right? So someone picks up. I thought it was a human, but it says, "Oh, by the way, I'm an AI. I'm going to take your order." And I said, "Oh, okay." So I do the order. I was going to say she because it sounded like a female voice. Um, and she asked me, "Oh, what kind of salad do you want?" I said this. I said, "Okay." She asked me the dressing. Very, very sweet, very nice. I felt really great. And she says, "Okay, well, I'm gonna go ahead and text you after a link to pay with your Apple Pay, or you can use a credit card, or whatever. And then I'll text you back when the order is ready." I said, "Fantastic." So I hung up and I looked at my, sort of like myself, as I was in the car. I was picking up my son, and I was like, "Wow, that was such a pleasant experience." And it was totally AI. I got the text, paid, went, got the other text, went, picked it up, no human, and it blew me away because I was like, "Wow, how much of that will I want?" Though I think there's certain scenarios where I was on the move. I wasn't really ready to have a human connection. I wasn't really in that situation. So, to your point, we don't know what the future is going to look like, but there are little signs where it may be that sometimes I do want to go to a restaurant and talk to a human, right? And have a conversation because I need that emotional connection. And then sometimes I just want to be transactional in and out. And for example, I went to the grocery store and picked up a piece of meat and was talking to the butcher, about some life stuff. And we were joking around. There was some sports and stuff. And so there was value in that interaction, right? Now, can AI simulate that? I don't know, maybe, right? I can't, speculate necessarily right now, but so that's what really resonated with me when you said that, and yeah, we'll see what the future holds, but I'm curious if we then go back to a world where, because we have uh, constant interaction with robots that seem to not fluctuate, would we want more of a human emotional connection? Would we want someone who's in a bad mood to pick up on the order, right? And all that. I don't know. We'll see. But this is very interesting. Just real quick, if you are thinking about starting to deploy spiced or a more unified methodology, what are some of those early things that you can do in terms of aligning those humans for now, right, until the robots take over, to start to say, you know what, we have to break down these silos. And yes, we'll work on systems and software and integrations, APIs, whatever, data sharing, et cetera, et cetera. But how do we get these teams to buy into, this is the only way we're going to be able to actually have a successful go to market motion, and this is this is in our best interest to drop the ego and get united.
Um, Start off with impact. Um, as every change management process, you need to start at the top. So bringing leadership into the same room, making sure that we all understand what is the impact that we're providing. You'd be surprised how many um, leaders do know, but usually when I ask frontline managers and below, what is the impact that your product, your company provides to your customers? In a lot of cases, they don't know. So bring everybody in the same room. What is the impact that we're providing
Mm.
to this persona, to this ICP, etc.? Once you have that, make sure that everybody starts to understand what does that mean for their specific department, for their specific role. Am I asking, if I'm customer success, am I asking and making sure that our customers are getting to impact? If I'm selling, am I selling on impact? Do I get to that level of conversation with my customers? Marketing, the same thing. So that's the first step. Second step, I do recommend Spiced, right? Use that framework. Once we understand that impact is important, adopt Spice, and you should adopt it within the different departments because that's the glue between them, impact and Spice.
Awesome. Roy, thank you so much for taking the time to be on the show and sharing your insights. If folks out there want to learn more about Spiced and winning by design, maybe connect with you particularly to maybe gather some insights, what are the best channels or URLs to reach you?
Yeah, so winningbydesign.com, this is the company. We have like a quick 15 minutes around Spiced and Impact, course around Spiced and Impact, self-learning kind of guidance for anybody that wants to learn more. There are a ton of other resources and blueprints and papers on Impact and Spiced. And if you want to contact me, LinkedIn is the best place. Roee Hartuv.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much again for being on the show and have a wonderful day.
Thank you very much.